Hey y'all, if you are a longtime viewer of the channel, it should be no surprise that I love the TG-7 Tough by OM Systems. And if this is your first time here, hi, I'm Drew, and I love the TG-7 Tough by OM Systems. This is my everyday carry camera. I take it everywhere with me, from walking the dogs in the morning to hanging out with my wife just around the house, when we go on trips, when I go visit friends, visit family, go out for work. This camera never leaves my side. It is a camera I love. I have taken tens of thousands of pictures with this camera, plus it also comes in my favorite color, which is red, and it is a camera that I adore. But with that being said, there are times, more and more lately, that I find myself kind of thinking about, I wonder what a TG-8 would look like. And so today, I'm going to talk about my kind of wish list, or the 5 things I'd really love to see implemented in the next generation of this camera. And I'd love to know down below, what you'd like to see in the TG-8 if you are a TG series user. And before getting into those things, there's a couple of things that still need to be true about the next generation of the camera. They're just kind of givens. One, it needs to be tough, needs to be shock-proof, needs to be waterproof, all of that jazz. And then the other is this still needs to be a fairly compact camera that I can easily fit in a small fanny pack, in a hoodie pocket, whatever it might be, and I can still take it with me everywhere without it being that much of a hassle or burden. Not that it is, but you get the idea. It still needs to be small, it needs to be compact. So with that, this is going to be in order of what I care about the least to what I'd like to see the most. And let's start off here with number 5, that being an improved image sensor. So this currently has a 1/2.3 12 megapixel sensor, and the image quality from this camera is fine. And I think fine is a good way to describe it. It's not bad, but it's not great. And there are times where I really wish, maybe this camera had like a, stacked 1-inch sensor. I can dream, right? This is my wish list for TG-8. And that's because, there are just times where I get back home and I wish I had just a bit more, resolution when I look at photos compared to my other smaller cameras. My action cameras, they take good photos as well. And there are times where I just feel like this lacks just a bit in the resolution department. Then also, for some of the burst modes, I want you to think about, who is this camera geared for? People who go outdoors, or they're on hikes, they're underwater, maybe you want to take pictures of birds or fish or sea creatures or of their dogs like me. And while the 20 frames a second burst is nice, that comes with some limitations like locked focus and locked exposure, and a faster readout speed from that stacked sensor may allow for some improvements in that those fields as well. And this is something I would like to see. I think it would make it a little bit more competitive in the smaller compact camera case these days as well. Think about things like the Canon PowerShot V1, the L10 that came out now as well, the Ace Pro 2, the GoPro Mission. Those are all little compact action, maybe not action cameras, but everyday carry cameras in my mind, and they have just slightly better images coming out of them. Something I like to see out of the TG-8. On the topic of an improved sensor, let's get into item number 4, which is going to be an improved lens to go along with that improved sensor. Now, I love the focal range of this camera. It is 24 to 100 full frame equivalency, but that comes with a f2 to 4.9 variable aperture, and I really wish that this was just a little bit faster of a lens. Maybe something like a 1.8 to an f4 would be great. I take this camera out on my hikes and my dog walks, and sometimes when I start those treks or journeys, let's say, it's still dark. So the low light capability of this camera is not the best, and having a bit of a faster lens, faster aperture, would be something I would really appreciate. And then, a little bit more sharp from edge to edge throughout the entire zoom range would be really great as well, to go along with that improved sensor that I just talked about. Item number 3 I'd like to see would be an improved processor, and that comes with some other things in there, being more of the computational photography that OM Systems is known for. I would really love to see the live NDs in this camera. Once again, this is for people who do things outdoors. When I'm on a hike, I'd love to see that live ND, be able to take long exposures of waterfalls or streams or whatever it might be. Double exposure would be great to throw in there as well. But then along with that better processor would also be better autofocus. Autofocus on this, it's nothing to write home about. Is it the best? No. But for what I use it for, it's fine, right? But if I had a better sensor, a better lens that was faster, better processor, I would really love to see some type of animal tracking for dogs, for birds. Let's throw fish in there as well. This is a camera that people take diving with them. So it'd be nice to see fish autofocus or crustacean autofocus. I don't know, something. Let's give some love to the underwater life as well. But that processor would be needed for things like better autofocus, right? And then, the computational photography features I would really love to see in this camera as well. Up next, item number 2 is a feature I don't really care about, and that is the video capabilities, but I think it is important to remain competitive in the space. I just talked about how, GoPro, the Insta360 Ace Pro 2, they are trying to market their action cams as photography cameras as well, with things like the photography bundles, the new grips they have. And, they have, at least the Mission, I believe, has that 1-inch sensor. But it also has things like 4K 60, 120, I believe. Right? There are everyday compact carry cameras or action cameras with better video specs that people will use to vlog. I'm not saying this needs 10-bit 422 video, but just something that makes it a little bit more competitive with the action camera, rugged, take me on adventure market. And I think if this came out with better video specs, it could, I'm going to say it's going to capture the GoPro market, right? That would be naive of me. But it would make it more competitive. And that is something I would really like to see. Maybe you got to do something with IBIS. Not even IBIS, you can do the digital stabilization with that improved processor, right? That should be something that maybe they could do on there as well. I'm sure they could figure out some way to improve the video specs of this camera for vloggers, people going out on adventures as well. Now, I know what you might be thinking, Drew, this takes, standard definition, 480 frames a second, that is outstanding. Yeah, sure, it's fun. But you know what I mean, all jokes aside, it needs to be more competitive with the market. And I think that is something a lot of folks would like to see, and may get a couple more users coming over from some of the other action cam markets in that case. But the thing I really care about, item number 1, is just give me manual controls, please. That's all I want. If you can deliver that via a firmware update to the TG-7, I may never upgrade. The aperture priority mode on this is fine, but there are times where, I just wish I could set everything to how I want it. Let me have the shutter set to this, so I can use the built-in flash to do shutter drag stuff I want while I'm outside, or I can get the more blurry motion of cars, or whatever it is that I want to capture when I am out. I can't do that. Now, I don't care if that is a pain to get to, just give it to me. I don't want a touchscreen on this camera. I appreciate the fact that it is not. To be honest, I like the menu system setup. I like the quick menu kind of setup this camera has. Just give me a way that I can set the ISO, the aperture, and the shutter speed, and I would be so happy with the TG-7 right now. On the topic of manual controls, if we're really going for wish list things, if you have to increase the size of the sensor, maybe slightly improved lens, or throw in a better processor into this camera, and that increases its footprint a little bit, I'd also love to see an extra customizable button or two. I feel like a really great place right here, and then maybe one, I don't know, right down here, or maybe on the back if there's a little bit more space. Just give me a way to maybe customize a couple of those. So if I have, manual settings I like to do often, here's when I do flash on with my shutter speed set to this for a long exposure or for my shutter drag. Hit a button, it's going to be there. So that kind of ties in with manual controls, I feel like. Give me some of the more customizable buttons on the next iteration of this camera, and that would make me really happy. So if you still stuck around listening to this ramble, thank you. Consider liking the video. Let me know down below what you'd like to see in the TG-8 if you are a current TG series user, and consider subscribing to the channel. Maybe someday I'll get to 50. That would be great. That would blow my mind. But yeah, thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you in the next video. Peace out.